This lesson is about the methods known as getter, setter, and deleter. Getters are the methods used to get the value of an attribute, and setters are the methods used to set the values of an attribute. And deleters are the methods used to delete an attribute for the object. We'll first focus on getters and setters, and then we'll discuss about deleters. We have been using the dot notation to get and set the values of an attribute. For example, x equal to student1.reg will get the value of reg attribute and will assign it to x. And student1.reg equal to something like mct-uit-01 will set the provided string as value of the reg attribute. So the important question is that once we have the dot notation for this purpose, then why to have separate getters and setters methods? We'll answer this question in this lesson. Getters and setters are also known as accessor methods, as they are used to access the attribute. And in another convention, getters are called as accessors while the setters are called as mutators. These methods are also known as descriptors. We'll explore three approaches used in Python for getters and setters method. To focus on the topic of this lesson, I have kept just the three attributes in this student class: fname, lname, and registration number. And there are two students created in main program. Let's start with first approach used for getters and setters in Python. There is built-in method getAttr which can be used to get the value of attribute by passing the object as first input and the name of the attribute as second input argument as string. You can see the correct value is picked by this method. Similarly, there is a built-in method setAttr which takes three input arguments: first the object, then the name of the attribute as string, and third the value we want to assign to this attribute. You will see new fname was assigned to student1. Now let's see when to prefer these built-in getters and setter instead of simple dot notation. If the attribute name we want to access is stored in some variable, for example a_t, and we try to access that using dot notation, the interpreter will consider the variable name a_t as the name of the attribute and will generate error. But we can do it using the getAttr and setAttr method. You will see this time attribute name was picked from variable a_t. We can change the a_t variable on line number 11 to lname, and this time lname will be set and returned by the setAttr and getAttr methods. So these methods can be useful for cases where the attribute names are obtained from some other mechanism, for example user's input or from the external file. One other feature of using getAttr method is that we can pass the default value of the attribute. So in case given attribute doesn't exist for the object, the default value passed as third input argument will be returned instead of the error. For example, student object has no attribute uni for the university, and it will generate an error if we try to access that. But if we pass a default value as UET, the default value will be returned instead of the error. Now let's move to the second approach for accessor methods. In second approach, we create our own getter and setter for each data attribute inside our class. The convention is to use get_attribute name for getters and set_attribute name for setters for each attribute. So let's first define these methods where getter will simply return the attribute and setter will set the value of that attribute. And we'll do this for all three attributes. Let's test getFname. and you will see that it returns correct value. Now let's check the setter method by setting a new value to fname. And you will see new value was set by the setter method and correctly returned by the getter method. But the important question is that why to define these getter and setter when we have simple dot notation? Let's first talk about setter methods. In setter methods, we can set constraints on the values being set for that attribute. For example, in case of fname, the name should be a string of alphabets without any number or special character. So we can put such conditions inside the setter method of fname. For example, we can set the condition on the new value of fname that it should be a string data type, should have at least 2 characters, and all characters must be alphabets. If the conditions are satisfied, the new name will be assigned to fname, and otherwise we can raise value error exception with appropriate message. Now let's try to set an invalid fname for student 1 as Ahmed 2, which is not all alphabets, and you will see the expected error on output. The same condition should be for the lname. For that, we can copy paste the logic of set fname into the set lname method, but having a duplicate logic is never a good idea. This is the situation where we should use a static method to check the validity of a name, and then we can use that method inside both set fname and set lname. So I'll first create a static method to check the validity of input name. And then use this method inside set fname to check the validity of input name before assigning it as fname. The same should be done for lname. You can see that later on if the name validity criteria changes, we need to do that just in the static method and it will get reflected in both set fname and set lname. In main program, let's give it a test on lname and you will see that expected error at the output. Now let's try to pass invalid name when a student is created on line number 2 and get the value using getFname. You will see that it will not generate any error and invalid name is set for student 1. The reason is that when an object is created, init method is called and we are not applying any validity check inside the init method. So we must use set fname instead of dot notation inside init method, both for fname and lname. And now if we run the same code, it will generate the expected error. Now let's see a very useful technique where we'll be able to use dot notation as earlier and that in return will call getter and setter method. We can use the property method and set fname as property and specify the getter and setter method we defined for this property. With this simple line of code, we can use the dot notation on fname and that will call getFname or setFname accordingly. So now let's test this in main program and pass in invalid name for fname. And you will see the error which means setFname was called. We haven't talked about extra benefit of using getter method. In getter method, we can change the format or shape of the attribute while returning the value. For example, names can be converted to uppercase when returned. Secondly, if we want to use the property function as in line number 15, the order of input arguments of this function is like getter is at first place and then setter is at second place. So we cannot have setter alone and must define getter, though we simply return the value as we are doing on line number 9. The good thing about this technique is that now we don't need to call this explicitly inside init method and can use the dot notation again, and setFname will be called automatically. We have tested setFname, but let's now try to get fname using the dot notation. We'll simply print fname of student1, which should call getFname. If we run the code, you will see this error, maximum recursion depth exceeded. Let's see what is inside getFname that caused this error. In getFname, we are returning self.fname, and because the property function we used on line number 13, this .fname will call getFname method on line number 6. And that getFname will return again self.fname, which will call getFname one more time. And that will return again self.fname, and this recursion will continue forever, and hence we get the error. So what is the solution? The solution is to use a different name instead of fname. By convention, we use single underscore with the attribute name, for example underscore fname. So please see very carefully that on line number 13, fname is set as the property, so student.fname will call setFname or getFname method, but on line number 7 we have returned self._fname, and this is not going to call getFname. So recursion will not occur, but does student has underscore fname attribute that we are returning on line number 7? Of course not. So we must change the fname inside setFname method on line number 10 to underscore fname, so that the value will be assigned to underscore fname and will be returned correctly by the getFname method. Before we test this in main program, let's first add the property function for lname. And change lname to underscore lname inside getter and setter method. Let's test the getter in main program that generated recursion error last time, and now you will see that it generated correct output. It will be interesting to see dictionary of student, for example student1. And you will see that the names of attributes for student1 are underscore lname and underscore fname instead of lname and fname. So we'll be using .fname and .lname to get or set the values, but internally the attribute names are underscore fname and underscore lname. This was all about second approach of using getter and setter in Python. Now let's move to the third approach, and for the rest of the course we'll be using this third approach for accessor methods. In this approach we decorate a method with property decorator, and that method becomes a getter method. Now wherever we will get the fname attribute as student.fname, this method will be called. I hope you remember this approach which we used in lesson number 4, where we declared full name as getter method. Now we'll also declare a setter method for fname, and this is done using a decorator as name of the attribute .setter. The validation conditions for the name to set are same as we had in previous approach, so I'll copy the static method valid name from there. I'll also copy the setter method logic from there. Once done that, now we can use dot notation anywhere including the init method, and these getters and setters will be called. Let's test the setter method in main program by assigning an invalid f name for student 1. And you will see that it generates the expected error. Now let's test the getter method by simply printing the f name of student 1. And you will see the recursion error as we have in previous approach. The reason is same, and again it can be solved by using underscore with the attribute name. Now I'll copy fname logic and will do the same for lname. Now let's define the getter and setter for registration number as well. Inside setter method, we can set the condition that new registration number is of string data type and it starts with UET-MCT. Notice here that I don't get the IntelliSense help for start with function of string class because IDE doesn't know if new reg is a string variable or not. So it will be helpful to convert this to string, and now you will get the IntelliSense for string methods. Let's test it by setting a wrong format for registration number for student 1, and you will see the expected error. We can do a variety of things with getters and setters as per our requirements. To demonstrate that, let's first add the getter for full name as we had in previous lessons. Notice that we'll not have recursion problem here as we are not returning self.fullname. Instead, we are using other attributes of student. We can get the full name of student object by using .fullname. Now let's suppose that I want to set a new value of full name as for example Ahmad Bilal. And not just that, I also want that by doing so, Ahmad is set as new F name for student 1 and Bilal is set as new L name for student 1. At this stage, if I run the code, I'll get the attribute error as I don't have the setter method for full name. So let's add the setter method. And inside the method, I'll split the input name by a space to get the two names separately. And we'll assign those to F name and L name of the object to get the feature we are interested in. And now in main program, let's print the F name and L name of student after setting new value to full name. And you will see that both fname and lname are updated according to full name. Not just that, because we use .fname in full name setter method, which will call fname setter method to set the value of fname and so on for lname. And hence we'll get those validity checks here too. So if we try to assign an invalid full name as Ahmad2 and run the code, you will see it will generate the error, as would have been the case if we try to set invalid name as fname. I am assuming here that full name will always be set as a string value and will have just one space. If you want to put more checks on this, you can do it in full name setter method, but I'll keep it simple. Now let's print the dictionary of student 1. You will see that full name is not added in the dictionary. We said in lesson number 4 that there can be one way of handling this case. So let's see that now. Now we have setter method for full name, and inside that I can add an attribute as full name. Now in getter method I can change this to full name, as now we have full name attribute, but this is going to kill the primary purpose of creating getter method for full name we did in lesson number 4. Meaning that it will not give the update value of fname and lname. So I'll keep it as before and we'll set this attribute inside init method so that it is there when an object is created. So now if we print the dictionary, you will see full name in it. Now the last thing I want to cover in this lesson is about the deleter methods. Like getter and setter, we can have deleter methods that are used to delete the attribute from the object. I'll set it for fname attribute. For that we use decorator as attribute name dot deleter. Inside the method we use del to delete the attribute. This should be underscore fname because the actual attribute name is underscore fname and not simple fname. Now in main program we can use del to delete the attribute, for example as del student.fname. Now if we try to print fname, you will see the error that object doesn't have the required attribute. Let's see if we don't have the deleter method for fname. And run the code. You will see that line number 5 will generate an error that attribute cannot be deleted. So we should have a deleter method in our class for an attribute if we want the feature of deleting an attribute. Generally for this class, I don't want the attribute to be deleted, so I'll not add deleter methods. Also note that the order of these methods is as getter, setter and deleter. Meaning that we can have getter without setter and deleter, but we cannot have setter without getter. And likewise we cannot have deleter without setter. This ends our discussion on all 3 approaches for the accessor methods. We did this on just 3 attributes. So here we have complete student class where I have used techniques of data encapsulation and getters and setters for different attributes. Note that class level attributes start with single leading underscore as hint for the user of this class to not to change these values. Then I use the same for courses and group member attributes of the object. Then I have created a couple of sections in the class to manage different methods. These start with getters and setters of different attributes. And then is the section of static methods where we have just one method. Followed by that is the section for instance methods. Then there is class method section. And finally are the magic methods. I didn't place the magic method init here because that is generally the first method in class and should be at the top. In next lesson we'll be adding more magic methods in our class. That's all from this lesson. Thanks for watching.